AP, Miami. The Biden administration is increasing pressure on Nicaraguan President Daniel Ortega's autocratic rule by threatening a ban on Americans conducting business in the country's gold industry, bringing up the possibility of trade restrictions, and revoking the U.S. visas of approximately 500 government insiders. The measures, which are the result of an executive order signed by President Joe Biden on Monday, are the most aggressive yet made by the United States to hold the former Sandinista guerrilla leader responsible for his ongoing assaults against democracy and human rights in the Central American nation, as well as his continued security cooperation with Russia.A Trump-era executive order that deemed Ortega's appropriation of democratic standards, undermining of the rule of law, and use of political violence against opponents a threat to the national security of the United States has been significantly expanded by the latest executive order. The order effectively outlaws American economic dealings with Nicaragua's gold industry along with the Treasury Department's concurrent sanctions against Nicaragua's General Directorate of Mines. It's the first time the United States has singled out a particular economic sector as possibly off-limits, and it might be expanded in the future to encompass other sectors of the economy that are seen to contribute to government coffers. According to Undersecretary of the Treasury for Terrorism and Financial Intelligence Brian E. Nelson, the Ortega-Murillo regime's continued attacks on democratic actors and members of civil society and the unjust detention of political prisoners demonstrate that the regime feels it is not bound by the rule of law. We can and will employ every weapon at our disposal to prevent the Ortega-Murillo government from obtaining the funds it requires to keep undermining democratic institutions. Although Murillo did not specifically reference the additional U.S. sanctions in her daily remarks to the official media on Monday, she did state that Nicaraguans are defenders of the national sovereignty. The Biden administration has been hesitant to launch a new economic drive for fear of exacerbating the nation's problems and triggering more migration, but Monday's move may be the beginning of it. Nearly 164,000 Nicaraguans were encountered by U.S. border officials along the southwest border during the fiscal year that concluded in September, which is more than quadruple the amount from the previous year. Meanwhile, anger in Washington has been growing over how Nicaragua's business elites have mainly remained mute throughout Ortega's crackdown. The Central Bank of Nicaragua reports that in 2021, the country exported a record 348,532 ounces of gold, and the mining organization there anticipates exports of 500,000 ounces in 2023. One of the international investors having a presence in the nation is Condor Gold, whose CEO, Mark Child, was seen with the Nicaraguan president in a presentation the UK-based business made for investors in September. After a 90-minute discussion with Ortega, Child stated in a March interview that Ortega was essentially entirely supportive of the concept. That meeting essentially grants the building of project finance a key green light and materially reduces project risk. Following the U.S. announcement, Condor shares increased by just 2 cents, or 3.8%. The share price of Calibre Mining Corp., another minor mining company with operations in Nicaragua that is listed on the Toronto Stock Exchange, fell by 17 cents, or 17%. The Vancouver-based company is working on a number of mining projects in Nicaragua that might yield 2.9 million ounces of gold. Reynaldo Lenin Serna, who it characterizes as a key advisor to Ortega, had his U.S. assets frozen as part of the proceedings taken on Monday by the Treasury Department. According to the Treasury Department, Serna oversaw state security during Ortega's first term in office and is suspected of participating in the murder of Anastasio Somoza's security chief. The state-owned mining business had previously received a punishment from the Biden administration. Additionally, it changed the country's sugar quota, eliminating a significant annual U.S. subsidy worth millions of dollars. After Ortega forcibly put down significant public protests, Nicaraguans started to depart their nation in 2018, first to Costa Rica, which is a neighbor. Security forces then started collecting up influential opposition figures in 2021, including 7 candidates who might take Ortega's place as president that year. Without a serious opponent, Ortega easily won a 4th consecutive 5-year term, and more Nicaraguans fled their country. Contributing to this report from Mexico City was AP writer Gabriela Seltzer. Goodman's Twitter handle is @APJoshGoodman.